All right. So one of the major things I said, I'm not going to be talking so much today, but one of the major things I've decided that I'm going to talk about tonight is that a lot of traders are of the habit of learning something and not utilizing it. Now, if you are a Muslim, you're going to permit my bias because I'm going to be saying a lot of things from the Bible, but forgive my bias, all right? Forgive my bias. But it's more like what the Bible says that a lot of people are hearers of the word and they are not doers. And I think it was a place in John that was saying that happy are you that do these things that you learn. All right. Happy are you or blessed are you when you do most of these things. Or not that you're saying most when you do these things that you learn or these things that you know. And while I was thinking about this pre-boot camp and this psychology, in fact, one of the things I said to the speakers is I want it to be very spiritual. I want it to be the spirituality in trading, the spirituality about trading. But I want it to be a psychology just to front so that people don't get turned off by the spirituality aspect and all of this kind of stuff. But I really want people to understand that there are certain spiritualities or there are certain things that you cannot do without adding spirit to it. It's not possible. So tonight, please, I want you to make sure that you write and you utilize. In fact, you start making resolutions about things you are going to be doing starting off from today. Tomorrow we are going to talk more on this. In fact, the speaker tomorrow is going to be talking about consistency as a trader. Two topics, but just letting the cat out of the bag, consistency as a trader. But without wasting so much time, let me leave here. Let me just get out of your face and bring on Fort. So, Fort, I'm happy you are here. Thank you for honoring the call. I'm so grateful, coach. You know you're my coach. You know
I
you're
know,
my
I know.
coach.
I'm
So
good.
yeah, thank you for honoring the call. Thank you for
Please,
responding.
sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
So let
Okay.
me get out of your face. Do your thing. I'm out of here.
Okay.
Just do your thing.
Yeah, so you can just leave your screen. Your screen can just keep showing. All right. So, yeah. I mean, thank you so much. I want to say a very big thank you to my mentor, Coach Philip, for this privilege that he has given to me. To just to say something. I think I've when it comes to the spiritual side of trading, I'll start off with that, but we are not starting yet. I think I've just been privileged to just speak with a few of my friends, few people, and we've gotten to share experience about the kind of things that when it comes to the spiritual side of trading, actually, right? So but before we get into that, I want to also give a big shout out to Daddy Query. Daddy Query is here. I mean, he has always been an inspiration to many of us, right? So I want to
Fourth man, please, your volume is low, please.
is it still low? Is it better now?
It's better now, yes, yes.
Okay. I just need a feedback if it's better. If it's better. Is it better now, please? Can we give me a
Yeah,
feedback?
it's better.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I was trying to give a shout out to Daddy Query. It's been a long time. I mean, but so glad to have him back. And also, he has been an inspiration to many of us. I mean, virtually each and every one of us that has been, we have been also been trading. He has really been an inspiration to each and every one of us, right? So tonight, in fact, personally for me, I was because when Coach Philip told me I was going to be talking to us, I think it was later in the evening because I had a very long night last night. I slept this morning, I think around 6 or 7 in the morning. So I was trying to catch some 2 hours sleep so that I would be able to do some other things later in the day. But when I woke up, my mind I was just like, God, what am I going to say? I was like, I was meditatively praying, right? I was not like praying with my mouth or in my heart. I was just trying to share I was just trying to let God know that if there's anything I'm just going to say, even if I don't get to talk about so many things, right? I should be able to, say some things that would be able to inspire some people in their journey, answer some questions in the hearts of people, and at the same time, and at the same time, just just inspire people in their journey as well, to just keep going. And also, I'm going to be talking to us about success, defining success as a trader, and how to break out of the box, right? So, I don't have like a predefined note. I don't have like a note written down, but I just know that God is going to give me all trance. And like Coach Philip said, yeah, I'm going to be sharing part of my personal experience. Maybe one or two, and I'm likely going to be, referring to the scripture because that is my life. So if you're a Muslim, don't go. Just stay with us.
Your volume is too low.
Is my volume still low? Is it very
Yes.
low? Okay. Okay, please, I just need a feedback. Is it better now?
It's better
The
now.
problem is you will start good, then you'll be reducing the volume bit by bit. Keep the volume steady now, Oga Fortman.
Okay, okay. Sorry,
Allow us
sorry.
start your anointing.
I think
Okay.
this should not from, I think this is not from you. Just tap his name and you see the volume. You increase it from your side.
Okay, you know what? Tap on my name and just increase the volume
Yes.
from your
Yes.
own side. Yeah, I think you can do that so that we can start. Yeah, so just let me know. I just need feedback from other people if it's clear. I mean, if it's very, very clear from your own end, just let me know. All right.
Very clear, very clear.
Okay, very clear, very clear. Okay, okay. Right. So, I just I'm going to be, you know, just talking to us about success, defining success as a trader. So I was saying that I really don't have like a predetermined, like a written down note or something I want to share, but I just want to just allow, that all trans find free course, and then just do my thing. And I just feel a lot of people are going to be blessed. Their journeys are going to be inspired, and a lot of questions in the hearts of people would actually be answered, right? So when we talk about success, generally, I always want to say this to people that success is a progressive realization to a worthy ideal. It's one of those things we learned from Napoleon Hill. I've heard it from Bob Proctor a lot of times. I've heard it from Nathan Gould a lot of times that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, right? So, when you say you have a worthy ideal, that it's just like, okay, in layman terms, it means like you have somewhere you're actually going to, like a destination you are going to, but there's a progressive realization, right? You are not just going to attain, you're not going to get there at once, right? So when it comes to success, everybody wants to see, the way we define success differs, right? For example, now I was telling a friend of mine, I said, okay, when it comes to the work of the ministry, right? Because the reason why I'm going to be using a lot of allegories, right? A lot of examples is because for me personally as a trader, the world has become the world has become a library to me, right? Meaning that there's anything that happens around me, I always want to refer it back to trading, right? I try as much as possible to refer everything that happens around me. I refer it back to trading. So the world to me is like a library. It's just like a public library. So when it comes to the work of the ministry, like a pastor now, right? You have two pastors. Like God's will is that every pastor should have a global ministry, right? Like take the gospel to the nations of the earth. So, but when you have a pastor who is, you know, preaching and teaching the word of God across the nations of the earth, and you have one who is just in a very small town in maybe Kogi or Sokoto or Osun State or in Lagos, just has one branch and just preaching the gospel, right? Now to God, because if both parties are actually just, you know, teaching and preaching the word of God and bringing men, reconciling men back to God. Because God's primary purpose is that He wants to see men saved, right, and men walk in righteousness. So if both parties, both pastors are actually doing the same thing, like preaching and teaching the same message, right, they are actually successful, right? Just that one has actually leveraged on that fact that God wants us, each and every one of us, to have like a global ministry. Why the other person just feels like, yeah, this is the message, a message of reconciliation. Let me just do it within my locality, right, and every other thing. So before God, both of them are successful. Are you seeing now? So that is the way God defines success. God doesn't define success by the a number of branches and every other thing, provided that you are preaching and teaching the same message that God has given to you, and the other man that is in a one, just has a very small auditorium in Osun State or in Lagos or Zamfara, whichever state he is, provided that that same man is also preaching and teaching the same gospel, before God, both parties are actually successful, right? So that is how we define success. That this is how I believe God defines success, right? When it comes to the work of the ministry. So when you come into trading, right, there are a lot of ways that many of us actually define success. Is somebody speaking?
But sorry,
Yes.
yeah, sorry. Can you like move your mic to the front a little bit, so that we can get a clearer audio?
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, you are very perfect
Is it better now, sir?
now. You are very, very perfect.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
can continue.
okay. Okay, so when it comes to trading, there are a lot of ways that many of us define success, and for many of us, what serves as what many of us define success by the material possessions. Like, you want to see yourself, you feel that you don't see yourself as successful yet as a trader because you feel you don't have those material possessions. You have seen a lot of many of you have been sold a lot of dreams, like you have to drive a Mercedes, you have to drive a BMW, you have to go from vacation to Maldives, you have to go to 12 Apostles in Cape Town. You have to just when you have that material possession, that is how you define success for you as a trader, right? But one of those things that I've come to realize, right, is that people who define success like that would always find it very, very difficult to really become successful as a trader, because what you have actually done to your mind is that you have actually you have conditioned your mind to believe that what is really going to make you successful, you are not going to be looking at the progressive realization that is going to get you to where you want to be as a financial trader, right, as a successful trader. But you are defining success as the material possession, right, having using the latest iPhone 14 Pro Max, using driving a Benz, driving a Lexus, the material possession that comes with trading, right? Those things actually comes with it, right? But me, I just see them as psychological, as things of that. I just see them that are things as things that comes as consolations, right, to the work that you have actually put into the trading, right? So, but I just want you to have it at the back of your mind that when it comes to success, it is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So now, for me personally, this is how I define success, and this is the mindset that I feel each and every one of us should have when it comes to maybe you want to define success as a trader. So it's if you remember the first word I used, I said it's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, right? So the worthy ideal there is that at the end of the day, in the long run, you want to become a consistent, profitable trader, right? So that is one. So for me personally, now the way I define success as a trader, and this is the mindset I push to my guys, is that there are three areas, there are three phases the trader must actually pass through. Right? There are three phases the trader must actually pass through. Number one is that a trader must be consistent. Number two, a trader must become. There's a phase where a trader becomes consistent. There's a phase where a trader becomes profitable, and there is a phase where a trader now becomes consistently profitable. There are three different phases. There are three different phases, right? So, but many traders never really understand this, right? They don't understand that there's a phase where you have to be consistent. You are consistent with your discipline. You are consistent with your analysis. You are consistent, you are consistent with your risk parameters. You are consistent with your habits. You are consistent with all of these things that defines you as a person, right? Then there's a place of consistency, which is phase one. There's a place of profitability, which is phase two. Then there's the final phase, which is a phase of consistent profitability. And this is what sustains you in the long run. This is what gets you to that worthy ideal, right? The worthy ideal now that defines you as holistically as a trader is that you become a consistently profitable trader. So you are seeing that you can't say I'm a consistent trader but you're not profitable. You can't say I'm a profitable trader and you're not consistent, right? What makes you holistically successful as a trader is that you are consistently profitable, right? You are consistently profitable with your mindset. You're consistently profitable with your analysis. You're consistently profitable with your habits. You're consistently profitable with everything that defines you as a person. So, me, I define success as a trader. I define success for every trader that has been able to pass through these three phases. Number one, you must pass through the phase of being consistent. You must pass through the phase of being profitable. You must pass through the phase. You now get to the phase of consistent profitability, right? So people don't want to go through that phase of consistency. They just want to jump to that phase of profitability, right? You have goals, for example, now. One of the ways you know you're not consistent is that forget about you might be consistent with your analysis, but trading actually reveals who you are to you more than what you do on the chart, right? What you do on the chart is just a reflection of who you are, right? So you might be consistent with your analysis, you are consistent with the way you trade, your trading setup and every other thing. But when you look at Q1, the first quarter, and look at Q2, look at the goals, look at the things you wrote in Q1 that you said you wanted to achieve in Q1. Were you able to do 50% of them? You told yourself that every day, every morning, I will do 20 push-ups in 5 sets, meaning that you will do 100 push-ups, 20 in 5 sets, right, every day because you want to build a good body that will enable you to make sound decisions and help you to have a sound mind. So you had a goal in Q1 that you were going to consistently work on your physicality, your body, right? But you didn't do that in Q1. It shows that you're not consistent, right? In Q1, you said you were going to read 10 books, right? But you didn't read 10 books. In Q1, you said you were going to be consistent with your fellowship with God, but you were not consistent with your fellowship with God. But when we ask you, were you consistent with one thing? You say, yes. What is that one thing? I was consistent with trading because you were showing up every day to push your button, right? That doesn't define you as a consistent person. You are not consistent because overall, trading is going to reveal who you really are because everything you're doing in trading is just a reflection of who you are, right? So you are not consistent with your relationship with God. You're not consistent with your physicality that you are working on. You are not consistent in building your mindset. You said you were going to read books on finance. You were going to read book on psychology. You were going to do a lot of things, but you didn't do it. You were just so solely focused on trading and trading and trading and trading, right? So you were just only consistent in just 10% area of your life, while the remaining 90% is actually lagging. So you have a very bad physicality, a very bad body posture. You don't have a sound mind. Like when I mean a sound mind, it means that when people ask you to contribute to something and say, okay, guy, come and just what do you think about what do you think about the dollar and all of these things? Just random discussion, and you really cannot. Somebody's mic is unmuted, so you really cannot really um, so you really cannot contribute to the discussion, right? So all I'm trying to say is that there are three phases that defines you as a successful trader, right? So if I find a person, if I sit with a trader in a newbie, right? I mean somebody who just comes into the market for the first time and he has been, one of the easiest things to hand over to every trader is technical analysis. It is very easy for you to hand over technical analysis to people. I've told my guys several times. I used to tell my friends and my guys that if I sit with somebody for just 1 month, if we're having consistent calls 2 times a week, I can hand over technical analysis to you, right? I can hand over technical analysis to you in 1 month. But one of those things I can never hand over to you is the psychology that comes with it. Are you seeing now? And when it comes to the psychology that comes with trading, it has to do with the building of experience. It has to do with the building of experience, building a solid and a mental fortitude, and all of these things, right? So if I find somebody who stays with me, who works with me for like 3 months, and I see how this guy has been consistent, and I say, okay, show me what you have been doing for 3 months, right? Because I can tell you, okay, go and do this for 3 months. Like personally for me now, I tell some of my friends and I say, see, you know what you're going to do. You understand the technical aspect of trading, but this is what I want you to do for the next 1 month. Don't study any video on technical analysis anymore. I'll just give them videos on. I'll give them some videos. For example, there's a video. There's no. I give them some audios. There's an audio like I put on repeat. The title of the audio is "Imagination as Meditation." So I give it to them. I said, listen to this particular audio for 30 days. Just listen to it for 1 month. Don't do any other thing. Listen to the audio for 1 month. Put it on repeat every single day. This is the only thing you should be doing, right? And every day, the person is giving me a progress report. Okay, what was your day like? What did you do? So I'm not going to tell the person, listen. You don't just listen to it. So when you listen to that particular tape called Imagination as Meditation, and there's another one, Imagination as Conception. So when the person listens to it, and I'm also telling the person, this is what you're going to be doing for 3 months. And when you are doing that, you are going to be also be doing this particular thing, right? You're going to dedicate some hours to do this, you're going to dedicate some hours to do this, this is what you're going to be doing. I just give the person a set of few rules, right? What I'm trying to look for is that I know, because I used to I'll tell the person, I say, I know you're consistent with your technicals already, but that doesn't mean that, oh, holistically you're a consistent person. Not, it doesn't mean that you have a consistent personality, right? Because this personality is what you are going to bring into trading, right? And that is what defines success for you as a trader. So every day or every week, at the end of every week, I'll reach out to this person and say, okay, guy, give me a rundown of what you did from Monday to Friday, from the instructions I gave to you, right? So the person comes to me and say, yes, from Monday to Friday, I was consistently listening to this particular tape that you said I should listen to. And the person now begins to share his own idea. But at the end of that 30 days, if the person does it consistently without deceiving himself, if he does it consistently for 30 days, right, there's something that the person has done to himself. What is that? What the person has done to himself is that he has proven worthy, like not to me now. I'm not trying to say he's proving a point or something, but he has shown to me that he's a consistent person, right? And it's an habit. One of the ancient Greek guys said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they become too strong to be broken. So if he does it for 30 days and he does it again for another 30 days, I just tell him, don't study anything on technicals, right? Show up in the market every day. When you show up in the market, don't study anything on technicals. Just show up in the market every day. But every day when you're showing up in the market, listen to this tape every day. Put it on repeat, right? The reason why I would tell the person I want you to spend time doing some meditations, spend time studying books on this and that and all of these things, is because I want to see how this person can consistently build a mental fortitude that will sustain the person in the long run, right? So this is what defines success for me as a trader, where you have to pass through the three phases of trading, which many people do, many of us are not aware about. There's a place of consistency, there's a phase of consistency, there's a phase of profitability, then there's a phase of consistent profitability, right? There's a phase of consistent profitability where you now become wholesome, right? You become wholesome. Trading becomes like a walk in the park for you, because you have consistently built yourself, you have consistently built your personality, your character, your attitude towards trading, and every other aspect of your life. And so your personality becomes holistic. So the same thing now reflects in your charts. Are you seeing now? So you must have it at the back of your mind. So you must have it at the back of your mind that what defines you. I can tell you for free that what defines you as a trader, right? Just get it off your mind when you want to define yourself as a trader, because you don't have physical material possessions, right? It's a journey. It's a journey, right? And you must learn. We all must learn to be able to savor the journey. You must learn to savor the journey. You must learn when you get to a point where you tell yourself, see, I know I'm consistent. I'm consistent with my habits. I am consistent with this. I'm consistent with that. I'm consistent with this. You know that you have crossed the phase. So now you are now in a phase called the phase of profitability. Now the phase of profitability, when you get to that particular phase, now you want to see that consistently materialize into money, right? You take a few losses here, but at the end of the day, when you give yourself a time span, you now see that you came out net positive. Then a time now comes in your face. When you come out from that phase of profitability, you now come into a phase called consistent profitability, where you can replicate the result over and over and over. You can take a loss, but you can replicate you without doing anything. You can wake up any day, anytime, anywhere in the world. Maybe you're in Cape Town, maybe you are in Maldives, wherever you are. You can replicate that same result every single day, day in, day out, without any external aid, right? That is now the phase of consistent profitability. And that is what you now want to define success as. So if you are here, right, and you have the mindset of defining success for you as a trader with material possession, you are wrong. And it's going to serve as a barrier to holding, like it's going to serve as a barrier that will hold you back from finding the true success that you desire as a trader, because you are defining yourself, you are defining your journey as a trader, you are defining your success as a trader with material possessions. Are you seeing now? So even Jesus Christ said that the quality and the life of a man is not defined by the physical and material possessions that he owns. Are you seeing now? So what defines you as success is the quality of your life. the quality of your consistency that translates into profitability and brings you into that last phase called consistent profitability. Right? You want to be consistent in every area of your life. You don't want some areas to suffer and you just find consistency in trading, right? You want to be profitable in other aspects of your life, in the work of the ministry, in building relationships, in other aspects of life that God has actually entrusted you to be able to do certain things, right? You want to be able to find profitability there and also in trading. Then you now come to a point where you are consistently profitable, right? So this is how for me I define success as a trader. So for me, there's no pressure, and the moment I believe that the moment every trader has this kind of ideology, it makes them it takes away the pressure from trading, right? It takes away the pressure from trading. So when you see people online, maybe Twitter, Instagram, flashing BMWs, cars, stacks of money, you are inspired, but you're not intimidated, right? You just get inspired, right? You feel like, yes, I mean, it's a progressive realization. You just tell yourself that it's a progressive realization. I am inspired, but I'm not intimidated, right? There's no pressure. You're going to take it a pace at a time. You're going to take it slow and steady. You're not going to rush anything, right? So this is how you get to that particular point. Are you seeing now? So this is how I define success as a trader. So let's quickly go to breaking out of the box. I just hope we are getting value, right? And I just want everything to just flow freely, right? And I really want to just share, from a bit of experience. So when you talk about breaking out of the box, right? When you talk about breaking out of that box, me, I personally used to. There's a way, the kind of mind that God has given to me. Sometimes I look at myself and I feel like I am blessed, and the reason is because I have a creative mind, right? And when I look at the world, I look at the entire world as I sum the entire world as I mean the entire populace in the world as 100%, right? But out of that 100%, 90% are recycling a way of life, right? 90% are recycling a way of life, right? So when you bring that into trading, right, we have the entire populace of people that are actually in the trading industry. We sum them up into 100%, right? So but we see that just 10% are consistently profitable. I mean, they have been doing it over and over and over for years. Some have been trading for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they have been doing it consistently, right, for over a decade or 2 decades, right? So so when you look at the remaining 90% and you're like, I feel like I'm stuck in this in this particular in this particular 90%. So you're having that struggles of how do I break out? How do I break out from the 90%? Right? How do I join the 10%? Right? So when I paint the picture in my mind, I'm always thinking of the 10%, the 10%, the 10%, the 10%. Because when I look at the 90%, it's too crowded. The 90% looks too crowded, right? But I want to be a part of the 10%. I want to be a part of the 10%, right? So there are a few things I feel we get each and every one of us out of the 90%, which is crowded, the crowd, and bring us into the 10%, where you have enough space, you have enough playground to do a lot of things, right? So one of the first things I want to talk to us about is that the first thing that I believe will bring you out of that box, breaking out of that box, is conviction. You must build conviction. You must build conviction. I don't know. I just felt the Holy Spirit will have me, God will just have me talk about it. Let me just put it that way, right? Because you know, it will just have me talk about it. So the first way that you are going to break out of the box is by solidifying your conviction, right? You must learn to solidify your conviction, right? So I woke up one morning. I was just going to have my personal devotion, right? So, like I said, I'll share a bit of experience. I was just going to have my personal devotion before the sun rises and before I get to trade, right? Because I trade full time, right? So I was having my personal devotion and I was studying the book of John. So I read an account. I read that account a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times. The account of that woman that Jesus met at the well, the Samaritan woman that Jesus met at the well. So Jesus gave her told her a lot of things, and this woman went into a city, told everybody that Jesus, come and see a man who told me about this. So the Bible now said that when those people came, if you read the entire account, when those people came from the Samaritan woman city and they came to meet Jesus, the Bible said that, and some believed. Listen to this now. The Bible said that some believed based on what the woman, some believed in Jesus based on what the woman said about him. Then, when you read, when you go further in reading John chapter 4, the Bible now said that many more. Now, look at the margin, the difference. The Bible said that some believed because a woman told them about Jesus and what he has said. Then the Bible now said that many more believed because of what is said, because of what they have heard from his own mouth, right? So when I was reading it, the Holy Spirit just told me you must learn to solidify your convictions, right? There were a couple of people that their conviction about Jesus Christ was, they had a level of conviction about Jesus Christ because a woman told them that, come and see a man who told me about everything that I've ever done in my entire life, right? But there are now a number of people who now built, who solidified their conviction based on what they heard from the mouth, right? They solidified their conviction based on the level of what they have heard from the words of Jesus Christ. Are you seeing now? So there's a way you must come to that point. You must come to that point where you must be able to solidify your convictions. You must come to that point where you must be able to solidify your convictions. I hear a lot of people say, I hear it a lot, and I just laugh because that's not the solution. People tell newbie traders that I don't jump from one strategy to the other, don't jump from one strategy to the other. Yes, as much as you can tell them don't jump from one strategy to the other, you must give them reasons why. You must tell them this is the reason why you must not jump from one strategy to the other. The reason why you will find yourself learning one thing to the other, learning one thing to the other, learning one thing to the other, right, is because, and the moment you keep hopping from one thing to another, hopping and learning here, learning, you are trying to learn and implement several things at a go, is because your conviction has not been solidified, right? Your conviction has not been solidified. Look at many of the guys that, one of the person I love to use as an example is Pastor Ejimi Adigbe. The man is an indicator trader. He has been trading for over 15 to 20 years, right? But he trades indicator. I know how in this industry, many of us bash indicator traders. We bash them a lot. But this man has his conviction solidified. I mean, is a multi-millionaire in dollars in this same trading industry. But he has his conviction solidified. So a lot of people are running to ICT, which is not bad. A lot of people are running to a lot of courses, learning to one mentor to another. It's not bad. But what they have not been taught is that they have never been taught how to solidify their conviction. So when I was having my devotion that morning, the Holy Spirit said, solidify your conviction, not just in trading, right? Beyond trading, there is a life outside trading, right? You must come to that point where you are able to solidify your conviction. And the process of solidifying your conviction is not a one-time thing. The only way that a man can be able to solidify his conviction is through repetition. It's through repetition. You solidify your conviction by hearing the same thing over and over and over again, by doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you tell yourself that this is the person that taught me how to trade. Whether I take a loss or not, I will stay with it. I'm not paying for any other course. I'm not doing any other thing. This is what I want to do, right? He has taught me already, and he has shown me on the chart that it works, right? I'm going to stay with it. Come what may, rain, sun, whatever comes, this is what I want to be doing, right? So now you just cross the face in building, solidifying your conviction by saying this is what you want to do. Now you now get to that point where your conviction becomes fortified, and that point where your convictions becomes fortified is where you are now being able to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? Many of us might not know him, but there's a man called Kenneth Hagin. I was just reflecting about his life last week Friday. I was taking a walk at night, and I was telling a friend of mine, like a pastor to me, and I told him, I said, why did Kenneth Hagin he was in ministry for over 65 years, and he was teaching one particular message for over 60 years. He was teaching a message of faith for over 60 years. He was teaching the same thing. So in one of his books, Kenneth Hagin said, one of his members came to him and said, sir, you have been teaching us on faith for over 10 to 20 years. Why don't you teach us on something different? He said, Kenneth Hagin's response was that the day you people understand faith, I will start teaching another thing. So for 60 years, Hagin was teaching one thing. He was just teaching one thing. He was teaching them on faith every day, every day. So because repetition is the mother, repetition is what solidifies conviction. You don't solidify conviction by, sorry, please give me a minute. Please just give me a minute, guys.
Guys, let's be patient. You will join us soon. Probably maybe quickly have to attend to something. So let's just be patient. I hope we are picking value. I hope we're learning. I hope we're learning. I am. So guys, I want you to do something for me. If you are picking value, yeah, this is Pastor Chris a whole lot. Yes, it does. So if you are, please can you drop 100 emoji in the chat? 100. 100. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, we're 67 on the call. Come on. You can do it. Don't be shy. You can do it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, so he's back. All right, so over to you.
Okay, so sorry guys. I had to quickly sort something ASAP, right? So I just hope I'm not boring you guys, but but can we all hear me? Please, if you can hear me, I just drop some 777 in the chat box, right? So just drop some 77 in the chat box. Okay, nice. I just needed a verification from a few people, right? So so I was saying something about solidifying conviction, right? So it was just, it was one of those mornings that I've read that, the book of John is one of my favorite scriptures, but I've read a particular account of the Samaritan woman. But that morning, the Holy Spirit just said to me that solidify your convictions, right? If you are able to, a man that has not, a man who is not stable in his convictions about certain things in life, you won't be able to be convinced. You won't be able to have a sound and a solid conviction when it comes to trading. It is not possible, right? So there must be a point. You must come to a point, right, where you must tell yourself. I used to say some things last year. I mean, some earlier last year. I used to say to myself. I used to say to my friends as well that um, I have never seen a man who says, "If I perish, I perish, that perishes," right? So my friends would just laugh. But I understood what I was saying, right? In the scriptures, I think it was one of those. I think it was the Esther or someone that said, "If I perish, I perish," and also, but I have never, because when I look at the accounts of men, I love to read history. I love to read the history of ancient Greeks men. I love to read their works and all other things. So I said, I have never seen a man who says, "If I perish, I perish, that perishes." Right? It is not because of anything, right? It is because these are men that they have solidified their conviction. They have solidified their conviction a lot. They just believe that this thing is going to work. They just believe that they're going to be successful. They just, many of you are trading, right? Because me, I love to run tests, right? I learned it from my younger brother, right? I love to run a test sometimes, right? Sometimes when I'm misbelievers that are traders, I always want to ask questions randomly. And I ask questions like, what makes you think you are going to be successful as a trader? Right? Forget about technical analysis. What makes you think you are going to be successful as a trader? I want to hear, because what you are going to be sharing with me is not based on what you have been taught. It is based on your, the kind of matters that your heart keeps indicting every day. Every day when you show up in the chat, what are the matters that your heart is indicting? What is your daily cogitation? What is your conviction? When you speak to me and you tell me that, see, this is the reason why I'm going to be successful, you are speaking from the level, from the depth of your conviction. Are you seeing now? So I told us that Agin was teaching the same thing for 60 years in the work of the ministry. He was teaching the same thing. He was not teaching the constellation and the seven stars. Those things don't, sorry, let me not go there. He was just teaching the basics of faith. The basics of faith, how to hear God, how faith comes. He was just teaching these guys the same thing. He was teaching them one thing for years. One of my most revered teacher, E.W. Kenyon. Kenyon, I was reading one of his book. I honor him so much. I was reading one of his book, and he said that an evangelist came to his church to preach. And when the evangelist was done preaching, the evangelist now, it was time to pray for the sick. The evangelist now said that if there's anybody here who is sick, come out. The evangelist was saying that he was saying that for like 5 minutes, nobody came out. Then the evangelist went to meet E.W. Kenyon and he said, why is nobody coming out? Is it that you don't have sick people here? And Kenyon responded to the man and said, there is nobody in my congregation that can fall sick. He said, because I have taught them. I have taught them. Right? So the cure for unbelief is teaching. The cure for unbelief is repetitive teaching. Right? It's not just when it comes to trading, the cure for unbelief. The reason why you don't have your conviction solidified in what you are learning from your mentor is because you have been evading consistent and repetitive teaching. So you see your mentor wants to teach you the same thing over and over and again for 3 months, but no, you feel like it is boring. Like, I want to go and learn something else somewhere else. Oh, you see the raining thing on Twitter, you want to rush and go and learn it somewhere else. You see one thing here, you want to go, but your mentor is telling you that this is what I want to teach you. I will be repeating the same thing. So you feel that maybe your mentor doesn't know anything, right? That is why he's teaching the same thing. But what he is doing to you is trying to build a solid and a sound, a fortified conviction in you for you to come to that point where no matter what happens, in fact, do you know, let me bust my bubbles a bit. I was in a Twitter space last week and they were trying to talk about ICT versus SMC versus retail. And there was this guy who is a retail trader. I think he's profitable and he has been doing it for years. The name of his strategy is parabolic arc. So in that Twitter space, people were laughing at him. I was just there to learn. I was listening to him. So he said, they asked him, okay, how does this parabolic arc strategy works? And he said it works with the full moon. I mean, this physical full moon that we see, right? He said it works with the full moon. It works with, he said a lot of things that has to do with nature, right? And I was like, wow, look at this guy. I mean, imagine these things together. People were laughing because it sounded crazy. But this guy was I mean, the way this guy was speaking, he was so confident. I mean, so I knew that this guy was speaking from the depth of conviction. So if you are going to break out from that box, right, you will break out from that box by number one, solidifying your conviction, right? If you have a mentor or you don't have somebody, maybe you don't have somebody you're learning from, you must cultivate the habit of repetitive learning. Don't be in that position where you want to learn new things every day. You must cultivate the habit of repetitive learning. That is the cure for unbelief, right? The reason why many people, that is why I said that when an experienced trader tells a newbie that don't jump from one strategy to another, don't jump from this to this, right? I just laugh because that is not a cure. That is not the cure for stability. The cure for stability is repetitive teaching. You must teach that same person the same pattern every day, every day, every day, every day, every day. And the person must come to a point where he feels like, man, I've been learning this same thing every day. So tell me another thing that you want to teach us. You tell him, no, this is the same thing you must learn. So when you go to Value Flow Trading Floor in Zaria now, Pastor Ejimi will teach you the same indicator that he has been using for 20 years that has made him multi-millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. That is the same thing we teach you. It will teach you sentimental analysis and every other thing. These are the things that has made him millions of dollars. You won't go there and he will now tell you that, okay, what do you want to learn? You say, okay, sir, teach me SMC and ICT. He tell you, I don't know SMC and ICT. What I know is sentimental analysis coupled with a bit of market structure. And it has made me millions of dollars. My family live in the best place in the world. My family can travel to any place in the world because I have been able to do one thing. I mean, this is conviction now. Being able to do one thing for 20 years. Many of you, a revelation of knowing that you don't have a solidified conviction is that one thing that you have learned from your mentor, you can't do it for 1 year straight. You can't do it for 1 year straight, right? You do it for 2 weeks, you took a loss for 2 weeks, you move to another person. You do it a loss for 2 weeks, now you are recycling the same experience. Now, the moment you are building and solidifying conviction, what you are doing is that you are building experience. You are building experience. You are building experience, right? So when you build an experience for at least 1 year and more than 1 year, you can sit somebody who is coming into the new industry and say, see, let me shorten your learning curve. I want to shorten your learning curve. And because I want to shorten your learning curve, this is what I'm going to teach you. Do this, do this, do this. And you tell the person, don't do any other thing, but just do this, do this. It took me, you can tell the person, it took me 5 years or it took me a year to be able to come into the fullness of this thing that I'm teaching you about trading, right? But go and do this consistently for 3 months, right? Don't do any other thing. And me, I'm a fan of going ghost. Like, I mean, go ghost completely. Just go and walk, go ghost. But people don't like going ghost. People like that validation that comes with people seeing you online, and people just like public validation, right? And you tell the person for 3 months, go ghost and go and be doing the same thing every day, right? And the person should give you a progress report, right? The person should give you a progress report. When the person comes back, what you have done to the person is that you have shared from the wealth of your experience and you have helped the person to shorten his learning curve. You have shortened the person's learning curve. So number one of the ways to break out of the box is conviction. Solidify your conviction in the peers you trade, in the strategies you use, the pattern you use, SMC or ICT or retail or you know everything you will learn from this bootcamp. When the bootcamp kicks off, just solidify your conviction and say, see, this is where I want to be. I want to stay here and I want to give myself the space of a year plus to do this thing repetitively. But I can tell you for free, you can take it to the bank. You will see yourself coming out. Like I said, it's going to be a progressive realization of the worthy ideal. The worthy ideal here now of breaking out of the box is that you want to come into the 10% of those people that are consistently profitable, right? So what you are going to do is that you are going to see yourself coming out of that box gradually, progressively. At the end, you see that you have come out of the 90%, the crowd, and you're now a part of the 10%. So maybe this might be the last one, but the second way you are going to be able to break out of the box is by cultivating a dependable spirit, right? By cultivating a dependable spirit. So people, I know that many of you will be expecting me to say some things about maybe chat. No, 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 no. See, let me tell you something. Let me just summarize this experience for you guys. Last year December, I was in a meeting, a young ministers retreat meeting. So the room I lodged, I had a couple of traders. A friend of mine came for the meeting as well. So he had friends that were also traders. I mean, they came with cars. So after the first session, we all sat together and I was like, okay, guys, where are you guys going to sleep? They said, they will sleep in their cars, in the auditorium. And I said, oh, let's go to my place. I lodged somewhere. Let's stay together. Let's gist. Let's just, we are guys now. We can be in the same room together. And also we went to the room and the first night we started talking, and these guys started sharing their experience. One of them shared his experience of how he lost 20 million naira in one day. He said he had a dream. He had a dream where in that dream, he was holding a bread in his hand, and he saw himself in his secondary school. And where he saw himself in that secondary school, he saw one of his teachers collected the bread from him and tore the bread into pieces. And he said he was making a statement in his dream, and he was telling the man that, sir, this is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. So he woke up from the dream and he felt like this was a casual thing, and all. And he made just one single mistake. One single mistake, I think oversizing or something. He made one single mistake and he lost that account. You see, somebody that has been consistently profitable for a while. he just made that single mistake and he lost it, but he later came back. These guys were sharing experiences. So one of them shared his experience with one of his mentors. He's a very popular person. Many of us might not know him, right? He shared his experience and he said that, his mentor told them something that one day he was sleeping. His mentor is mentored by Pastor Ejimi. So he said that one day he was sleeping because he's a trader. He was sleeping, and in that dream, he saw that he was given a coin. He was given a coin, a gold coin, two gold coins, right? But when he was given those coins in his dream, but when he woke up, he saw the two gold coins physically on his laptop, on his trading laptop. So he called Pastor Jimmy and said, "Sir, this was what I see. So I had a dream, and after that dream, when I woke up, I saw the same coin on my laptop." Then Pastor Jimmy told him that keep it, that in years to come you would understand what it means. Are you seeing now? So so I know many of us, I said that to say this, that, many of us will be expecting me to, when breaking out of the box, many of us will be expecting me to talk about maybe one or two. No, 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 no. I'm just going to tell you that I'll tell you the spiritual side of trading, right? So these guys were sharing their experience. I was like, wow, man, guys really have had experience in trading. So that was why I said number two. The second way you are going to be able to break out of the box is by cultivating a dependable spirit. So when I mean a dependable spirit means that God, you are in a position, your spirit is in a position where God can reach you. So that is why you must don't joke with your work with God. Don't joke with your prayers, your study. In fact, I'm a big fan of meditation. I mean scriptural meditation. I'm a big fan of meditation, right? So because meditation helps you to cultivate a dependable spirit. Meditation puts your spirit in a place that God can reach out to you, right? Because all of the ideas you will need for your trading, every other thing you will need for trading, well, to become a successful person in trading, you will get it in your spirit. Are you seeing? So I encourage meditation a lot. I mean scriptural meditation right now, right? So that is why I was saying the other time that sometimes I can pick somebody and say, we're just discussing. I will say, see, you know what? I was sharing one of my very close friends, and I told him, I said, the Bible said that the Bible said that um, Jesus, it was speaking of Jesus in the book of John, right? That how God anointed Jesus Christ with, that was in Acts of the Apostles, that Jesus was anointed with oil and with power. He went about doing good. Now listen to the context. It said Jesus Christ went about doing good, healing the sick and all of them that were oppressed. The Bible now said something very important. It said, "For God was with him." Listen, for God was with him. For God was with him. Jesus could not have healed the sick and delivered those that were oppressed. Jesus could not have done good if God was not with him. He did those things because the Bible now recorded that for God was with him. For God was with him. So when you look at the accounts, of Pharaoh, and when you look at the accounts of Joseph, when he was taken to the house of Potiphar, the Bible now recorded that God gave Joseph success in that same house in Egypt because the Bible now said, "For God was with him." For God was with him. For God was with him. When he went into the prison, when he was taken to prison, that same account still repeated. He said that when Joseph was in prison, he found favor before the prison guard and all of the other person and every other thing. The Bible now still recorded that for God was with him. For God was with him. Are you seeing now? So it tells you how much, right? How much our success is dependent as believers. There's no middle ground, there's no middle ground. How much of our success is dependent on the presence of God, the consciousness that we have about the presence of God being with us. So I'm not waking up every morning to trade because I understand technical analysis. In fact, what I do sometimes, like I just even started it, right? So it's nothing to hide. Sometimes when I wake up, recently it just dawned on me that the reason why Jesus Christ was able to turn 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes into, use it to feed multitude was because Jesus just had a consciousness that God was with him. And he lifted up that 5 loaves and 2 fish and he just gave thanks. And after giving thanks, it multiplied. So it dawned on me, I said, when I want to trade, I should be doing the same thing, right? It is not because of anything, it's because Jesus is a worthy example. So when I wake up in the morning after everything, before I step on my decks and I say, "Lord, I thank you. This is my 5 loaves and my own 2 fish." And I just give thanks. I am doing it with a consciousness. I am doing it with a consciousness because we have learned that thanksgiving is a seed for multiplication. Right? If you want to multiply anything, just give thanks. Right? So I wake up in the morning and I'm giving thanks. saying, Lord, this is my 5 loaves and my 2 fish, my laptop, my monitor, and everything I have, my account and everything, and my mind. And I'm saying, Lord, I give you praise and thanks. Like Jesus, I'm giving you praise and thanks. I'm not just doing it shabbishly, but I'm doing it with a consciousness. It's a consciousness that is outflowing. And I'm saying, Lord, I thank you. Right? So when I sit, I have that consciousness again. I remember Jesus, that it was written of him that Jesus was able to do good, deliver them that were oppressed, because God was with him. I remember Joseph, that even when he was in the prison, God was with him. I remember Joseph again, that he was in the house of, he was in Egypt, and the house of Potiphar prospered because God was with him. For God was with him. The reason why Joshua was able to succeed, God said to Joshua, he said, let this book of the law not depart from thy mouth. He said, thou shalt meditate on it day and night. He said, it shall have good. That was not even the major point. Before those ones even started, God came to Joshua and told Joshua and said, he said, as I was with Moses, he said, so will I be with you. Are you seeing now? So you don't downplay the presence of God. We are not trying to downplay the presence of God in whatever we do. We are having a consciousness, a solid consciousness that God is with us. When I sit on my decks, even when I want to even study, I have a consciousness that I will just understand. I know I will understand. And I know I might even understand more than the person that is even going to teach me or whoever I'm studying from. I just know I will understand. It's a consciousness. I have a consciousness that God is with me. Are you seeing now? So I just have that consciousness that the reason why Jesus was able to do mighty works was because God was with him. The reason why Joshua was able to bring the children of Israel into the promised land was because God came to him and told him, as I was with Moses, he said, so will I be with you. Are you seeing? So I have that consciousness. I have that consciousness that God is with me. I have that consciousness that God is with me. Right? So you must build that consciousness. And it is that consciousness that puts your spirit in a position that is dependable. Your spirit comes to a point where God is in a position where God can reach you. It's a position. How much is $1 million that many of us as believers cannot amass? How much is all these things? What is profitability in trading that many of us cannot get? Right? But we have done it a whole lot without that consciousness that God is with us. We have journeyed so far without having that consciousness that God is with us. We have journeyed so far without having a dependable spirit, right? When it comes to ministry work and every other thing, when it comes to the Christian faith, you have that consciousness. But when it comes to trading, you feel it's just your mind. No, you must cultivate a dependable spirit. And let me tell you, one of the ways you cultivate a dependable spirit is through meditation. You must see, as a trader, let me not lie to you. Don't be fooled. I'm not going to lie to you. As a trader, make out time to meditate. Make meditation a part of your daily routine. Before going to bed at night, just meditate. When you wake up in the morning, before the sun rises, meditate. You are putting your spirit in a position where God can reach you. So you must put yourself in that position. One of the ways to build and solidify that consciousness, one of the ways that you are going to build a dependable spirit is by meditation. You are meditating. You are meditating. I'm telling you the spiritual side of trading, right? So just to let you know that trading is not just clicking buy and sell, drawing lines on your charts, as good as those things. Trading is deeper than all these things, right? Trading is deeper than all these things. Are you seeing now? So we must cultivate the habit. You must cultivate the habit of meditation. And I mean scriptural meditation. Scriptural meditation, right? Let me tell you what meditation does to you as a trader. Let me tell you what it does to you. One night, right? Okay, no, let me not use this as an example. Sometimes you are meditating on a scripture. See, let me tell you, technical analysis is very small. Right? But as a believer, you know that you want to be consistently profitable. It's a journey and it's going to be a war. Right? It's going to be a war with your emotions. It's going to be a war with a lot of things. Then you sit at night. Let me tell you what happens. Sometimes you are meditating on I love Psalms a lot, because the Psalms written by David were David was, I used to say to my friends that David was an Old Testament man that had New Testament revelation, right? So you hear David say that, you hear him say words like, I'm trying to pick a scriptures from the book of Psalms. It says, okay, for example now, he says that, except the Lord builds a house, the labor in vain that builds it. except the Lord watches over his city, the watchman watches but in vain. See, don't forget, I said something earlier on when we started this call. I said that as a trader, you must make the entire world, this world, become a library to you. Everything that is happening, you must find a way to revolve it around trading. Are you saying? So sometimes I'm meditating on the scripture, and I'm trying to meditate in respect to trading. Are you seeing now? So, and I'm thinking of what David said. He said, except the Lord builds a house, they labor in vain that builds it. Except the Lord watches over a city, the watches but in vain. Let me tell you, one way my mind is meditating on that scripture. As my mind is meditating on that scripture, I am seeing myself as a trader. And one part of my mind is telling me that except the Lord builds my account, except the Lord makes a man profitable, he will labor in vain, or to make himself profitable. Except the Lord watches over his city. That same those who watches over that city will watch but in vain. So while I'm meditating, I'm just sitting down there, and my mind is revolving around the scripture. Except the Lord builds a house, except the Lord builds a house, except the Lord builds a house. But I'm meditating because I'm putting myself in a place of meditation as a trader, right? So I'm letting God know that I can't bring myself into profitability as a trader by my own human mind. I can't bring myself into profitability by my own, just because of the technical analysis that I know. Are you seeing now? So I'm sitting down there, except the Lord builds a house, except the Lord builds a house, except the Lord builds a house. And I'm seeing myself as a trainer. There is a time in your place of meditation, your words will change, right? I'm teaching you how to meditate. Your words will change. Your words will no longer be except the Lord builds a house now. You will get to a point in your meditation now where your words will now be, because you get to a point where your words will now be, it will sound like this. It says, it is the Lord that is building my life. It is the Lord that is building my life and is watching over it. Are you seeing now? When you started meditating, you were saying, except the Lord builds a house, except the Lord. But in the process of meditation, your words will now change. Your words will now change. Your words will change to words like, now the Lord is building my life. It is the Lord that builds my life. Are you seeing now? So it is not because you are not doing all these things to feel. These are trading is more than. I'm not going to lie to you. Many of you know technical analysis a lot. You have learned a lot of things. But I'm showing you the spiritual side of trading. You must cultivate a dependable spirit. And one of the ways you cultivate a dependable spirit is through scriptural meditation. Scriptural meditation. Are you seeing? Right? You are seeing yourself. Sometimes you are at the verge. Maybe you have been going through a losing streak. Let me tell you what you do. You have been going through a losing streak. Pick up Psalms. Psalm 23. The Bible says, for the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Right? Another version says, for the Lord is my shepherd, I will never be in want. So you are meditating that even though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, that valley of the shadows of death could be the valley of the shadow of losing streaks. And you are saying to yourself, I will not fear no evil. I will not fear no evil. I will not fear. I will not fear. It says, for the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. That word shepherd there means it is God that is guiding you. It is God that is leading you. Because your spirit is now acknowledging, you are building a consciousness in your spirit to acknowledge that God is your shepherd. Let me tell you what you will do. A day will come, you will be analyzing a chart, and the Spirit of God will speak to you, a still small voice. You have set your sell limit and your stop loss. It will tell you, no, remove your sell limit from here, put it here. It will tell you this is where price will turn. And you just reluctantly obey. You just move it there, right? Don't forget, your sell limit maybe was at the top. But the Spirit of God will just tell you that no, take it from that top, move it down. Price is turning here. It's going to turn from here. And the moment you put it there, you will just come back after 15 minutes, price has activated. And exactly that same point that the Holy Spirit told you that it was going to turn. No, I'm not preaching. I'm just trying to show some things, please. Exactly that particular place that price is going to turn is where it's going to turn from, right? The reason being is because you have been able to build you have been able to cultivate a dependable spirit, right? You have been able to cultivate a dependable spirit. If you don't believe what I'm saying, one of the best traders in South Africa is Ref Wayne. Myself and one of my friends were in his conference. There was a conference, the Forex Millionaire Expo, that happened in Lagos earlier this year, where Ref Wayne was invited, Kira Forex, all of these guys, Dapper Williams. Ref Wayne was the person to speak last. And in that conference, myself and one of my friends, Sam Billions, we attended online, right? And we attended on the Zoom. It was paid, right? So Ref Wayne said, I'm not here to tell you how I made 30 million naira, $30 million in 1 year, how I made $30 million in one trade. I'm not here to tell you all those things. You have seen it, I've done it over and over again. He said, but I want to tell you the spiritual side of trading. But before that Forex Millionaire Expo, God has been exposing me to these things. Like trading is beyond technical analysis, guys. Understand these things. Understand these things. So when we came for Forex Millionaire Expo, and when Refrain was the last person to speak, and Refrain was just talking about, in fact, he was just talking about meditation. He was talking about, meditation where, these guys use, let me just say the corrupt side of meditation, where these guys, they use soul power. They use soul power to be able to, get into some, deep things and all. So Refrain was just speaking about meditation. He was speaking about some, he was just sharing some things that I can't say, and none of those things. I just told my friend Sam, I said, Sam, look at what we have been talking about for over a month. And he was like, guy, I'm wild. I'm wild. See, let me tell you, success in this thing is more than technical analysis. Technical analysis is the simplest thing to get. It is the simplest thing to get. But what many traders have not been able to do is the ability to cultivate a dependable spirit. Let me share an experience with you. Maybe I might just begin to round up. Because I try as much as possible. I won't say that I've gotten to that point of perfection, but I try as much as possible to make out time for meditation. I just sit down on my chair and my head is just rested, and I'm visualizing scriptures. I'm just, I'm trying to cultivate a dependable spirit where God can reach out to me. So I do that most times, and I put on tapes. I put them on repetition, tapes on, like, I have a particular tape I've been listening to now for weeks. It's called Imagination as Meditation. It was preached by Andrew Womack. So I just listen to it. I just put it on repeat, and I'm repeating it.
Actual
Yeah.
correct happy hour. Go buy drinks. 2009. Yeah. Happy hour.
So can you please
Oh
can you
my
mute your
God.
mic?
Don't worry.
Okay. So one morning, this thing I'm sharing with you now, I've had several experiences like that. So, but this happened to me last week, right? I was sleeping, but I was not deep in my sleep. So it was around 5 a.m. in the morning. I try as much as possible to get up by 7, to do some other things as quick as possible for London section and all. So in my sleep, I saw a guy. There's a guy on Twitter that is a sound fundamental analyst. I mean, the guy was trained by ICT, but the guy is a sound fundamental. If this guy tells you that Euro and GBP is going to fall for the next 3 days, it is going to happen. It happens just as he says it, because the guy has a sound understanding of fundamentals, right? So I saw in my sleep that the guy tweeted that dollar was going to crash for that day. It was a Wednesday. So in my sleep, I was seeing his tweet. I saw his tweet that dollar was going to crash and euro was going to buy that day. So when I saw it, it just flashed into my, like, it was like a, maybe let me use the word, like a vision, and I just saw it. It was in my sleep. I woke up. See. Let me tell you, there was no point to do anything. People were looking to short euro that day. There was no point. I was looking for buys. I was just looking for buy. I was looking for buy, right? I was looking for buy because of what I had seen, right? So when I got up, when it was London session, what I was looking for buy was not, it was not looking clear. It was sales that was looking so clear, right? But based on what I've seen, and because I'm solidifying my convictions, about everything that happens around me, I said I'm going to be buying today. I'm not going to be selling at all. What I want to do is buy. And lo and behold, Euro bought that day. I mean, Euro bought. I have the screenshots of my executions. I have the screenshot of my before and my after. I have everything. Euro bought that day. Based on that experience that happened, you know, in fact, let me tell you, when things like that begins to happen to you, right? Where I've heard people say that they just, a lot of things. All I'm just trying to say is that you are putting yourself in a position that your spirit becomes dependable, that your spirit becomes dependable, where God can actually reach out to you. Are you seeing now? So one of the ways that you can build a sound and dependable spirit is through meditation, scriptural meditation, right? You pick up your Bible, you are meditating, you are reading, you are meditating, you're just You are visualizing. Your heart is inditing a good matter. Are you seeing now? You are building a consciousness. You are building a consciousness that yes, God is with me. Number two, you are solidifying your convictions about the things that are happening around you, about the teachings you are getting. And I've told you, and I've told each and every one of us that one of the ways to solidify your conviction is through repetition. It's by repetition. It's not by see. It's by repetition. See, let me just tell you what to do. We have about 9 more months or 10 more months to go for this year, right? Everything that will be taught to you for this boot camp, and everything that you will learn, commit yourself to learning. Just commit yourself to practicing those things for the remaining 10 months. Don't do anything again. Just what you want to do is build experience. You take losses, you take losses, you take wins, you are building experience. What you are doing is that you are solidifying your convictions, right? And you must come to that point where I think I should be rounding off now. You must come to that point where you are able to build a dependable spirit, right? There's a man called Dr. Stephen Akitayo. He wrote a book. He was gifting his son a book. The title of that book is The Habits of Billionaires. Habits of Billionaires. I've not read it, but I know a few habits of billionaires. One of the habits of billionaires is that billionaires have been able to cultivate a healthy spirit, a healthy spirit, and they do that through meditation. They do that through meditation. I don't know. Many of them do. They do the corrupt side of meditation. There's a corrupt side though. There's a corrupt side, so you have to be very careful. Anything that is not scriptural, there's a corrupt side. But there's a scriptural side where your mind is just fixed on scriptures, right? I listened to interviews a lot. There's a time Bill Gates was saying that he has a week every month. There's always in every month he has a special week that is called his think week. He calls that week his think week. So that think week, that particular week where he's just thinking, he's not doing any work, he's not doing anything. He said he would just he would isolate himself from the public, from work and every other thing, and would just go and meditate, study books, meditate. How do you think these guys come up with crazy designs? Windows 11, Windows 12, Windows 13, come up with crazy, crazy things. It is, it comes from the place of how these guys have cultivated their spirit. I was telling a friend of mine lastly, this should be the last example, right? Right? Because I'm just trying to share these examples for us so that we'll be able to see that the world is our library, right? As traders, right? I studied the life of Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs happens to be the founder of Apple, right? And if you study his history, Steve Jobs never had a passion for tech. He never had a passion for anything that has to do with tech, right? But Steve Jobs had a practice called Zen Buddhism. He was a Buddhist. He was practicing what was called Western Spiritism. What those people do is that they practice abstract meditation. Now, abstract meditation, what they do is that they will travel in time. They can travel into the future and see things that will happen in the future, and they will bring it into the present. Are you seeing now? It was through those abstract meditation and the practice of spiritism that Steve Jobs was able to capture this company that we have now, that many of us are, we are buying their products, called Apple, right? Study the history of Steve Jobs. He never had any passion for tech. He was a dropout. And, because of their practice as Buddhists, Zen Buddhists, they call them Zen Buddhists. They practice Western Spiritism. They don't put on shoes and slippers. They don't put on sleeves. They don't put on shoes. They walk barefooted. When you study Steve Jobs' history, he was walking barefooted in the University of Chicago. He didn't have a house, right? Because one of the practices of Zen Buddhism is that they teach you detachment from material things. And that is why most of these guys are successful. They don't have any emotional attachment to material things. They can live, he was just doing all these things. He was just walking barefooted. He was sleeping in the walkway in the University of Chicago. He didn't have any, he dropped out. Then all of a sudden, this man came and started a company called Apple. Are you seeing now? He started a company called Apple. Before Steve Jobs died, he made a statement that made me laugh one day. Steve Jobs said he was teaching the students in a particular university. And do you know what he said to them? He said, "Follow your passion." I laughed when I was listening to the interview. He said, "Follow your passion." The first question is, you that you built a multi-billion dollar a multi-billion-dollar company, did you follow passion? Did you have a passion for tech? Because wealthy men will not tell you. They will not tell you what. They will not tell you what they do in their closet. When you go for conferences where a billionaire is speaking, he will not tell you those things he does in his closet. He will tell you what you want to hear. So the things like you want to hear now, like many of us were wanting to hear in this boot camp, this pre-boot camp, is that, they will tell you, just work hard, study hard, watch a lot of videos, just study hard, back test, So when you go for conferences where billionaires are speaking, they will say things that you want to hear, and you have been hearing it, but it has not changed you. So they will tell you all you have to do is have a passion, just follow your passion, work hard, keep working hard, keep showing up every day, and everything will work out for you. And I'm in my mind, I'll be like, Oga, don't tell me to work hard. I've been hearing this work hard from different speakers. Sir, what are you doing in your closet? Steve Jobs now went to that university and told those guys and said, follow your passion. And I'm like, you didn't have a passion. You didn't have a passion for tech. You were practicing Zen Buddhism. And that was how you were able to capture this thing, this company called Apple. You brought it into time. And now your company is a multi-billion-dollar company. So don't tell us, come and tell us, follow your passion. Tell us what got you here. That is what we want to know. Because these are things that they can't share. There are some things that a wealthy man cannot share. They call them privy informations. But when you get closer to them, they can now tell you that, oh boy, forget that I said work hard in that conference will come. Let me tell you, the only way you'll be able to build a multi-billion-dollar company is by, let me tell you, this, and this, and that. And you'll be like, So I said all of that to say this, right? One of the ways you are going to be able to build, break out of the box is by solidifying your conviction through what you learn. And one of the mother of conviction is repetition. You must give yourself to the same teaching over and over and over and over again, right? And number two, cultivating the dependable spirit. If you're a believer here, be in a position where God can reach out to you. Don't exempt your trading from your spiritual life. If God can tell you, Oga, don't trade today. You will go and trade when your spirit is telling you don't trade. You will now take some crazy, funny losses, and you'll be like, and God, I felt it in my spirit. And what God is trying to do to you is that, see, let me tell you, God is trying to reach out to you that your trading is not exempted from your spiritual life. Your trading is not exempted from your spiritual life. Are you seeing now? Are you seeing? So last example, and I'll just hand over to my mentor. Listen, if you study the accounts of this man, what is his name? I can see his name. I can remember his story, but I'm trying to remember his name. Oh God. I just want to give this last example, and I will just call it a night, right? So there's this man in the Bible where Moses went to meet, Moses went to meet God and was trying to talk to God about some things. Okay, Aaron's rod. Yes, Aaron. Now, this is the example I want to give to you now, just to let you know that everything, including trading, is spiritual. So you have to pay attention to it. So when Moses went to meet God and told him that these people are complaining, they are talking here, talking here, talking here, talking here. Well, God now gave Moses an instruction. He said, for the 12 tribes, from the 12 households, right, tell each and every one of them to get a rod, right? Now, and God now told him that for that rod, put that rod in my presence. Put that rod in my presence, right? Then God now told Moses that when you put the 12 rods in my presence, including the rod from the household of Aaron, right? When you put it in my presence, he says the one that blooms and blossoms and produces fruits is the one I have chosen. The first question you should ask yourself is that the only way that a rod will produce fruits and bud and blossom is by when it is connected to the earth. But God is trying to tell Moses that there are other laws that supersedes the natural human law. So God was telling Moses that don't waste your time trying to plant the rod into the soil. Put it in my presence. Just put it in my presence on the floor. Let it be there. And the Bible now recorded that when they came back the next day, when they came back to the ark, to the temple the next day, they said Aaron's rod budded, Aaron's rod bloomed. It bloomed the blossom and it produced almonds. And I was like, God, are you serious? that a man's rod was not connected to, it was not connected to, his rod was not connected to the ground. It was just left in the presence of God. And the Bible now said that Aaron's rod budded, bloomed blossoms, and it produced almonds. Are you seeing now? So it gives us a perspective. Are you seeing? So when you now study the passages like that, you are now seeing that God is really interested. So look at your trading and say, see, I can commit my trading and say, Lord, I know I understand technical analysis, but see, I commit this thing to you. Are you seeing now? You are the one guiding me. You are my shepherd. You are my shepherd. Are you seeing? And God will just say, continue. I'm leading you. Like Aaron's rod, you will see your trading beginning to bud, to bloom, to bloom, to bud, to bud, bloom, blossom, and to produce almonds. Are you seeing now? So solidifying your conviction, cultivating a dependable spirit through meditation, and having a solid consciousness. Are you seeing now? This is how you bring out from the box. And what do we define success as a trader? The ability to be able to pass through those three phases, like I mentioned, the phase of consistency, the phase of profitability, and you get to that final phase, which is called consistent profitability. So, and we define success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The worthy ideal there is that you want to get to that point of consistent profitability, where you can replicate that same success any day, anytime, anywhere, right, without any external aid. But you must pass through that process. It must be a progressive realization, passing through the phase of consistency, the phase of profitability, until you get to the phase of consistent profitability, right? I hope we're able to get a lot of value. I just, I don't want to go so far anymore. Coach, I think you should take it off from here. So I think, I don't know if my coach is still, my mentor is still here. But I think I'm done. Thank you so much. I don't want to continue anymore.
All right. All right. So, guys, well, I don't want to crowd you too much tonight. I really want to just say one thing and then get out of your way. Thank you so much, Fort. And remember what I said from the beginning. Anything we are going to be saying, we are going to start practicing it immediately. We are going to start tonight. My spiritual father, just to put a little bit of icing on the cake, and I've learned one very thing about when you talk about things like this, you don't try to continue the person's sermon. It's actually quite wrong. But my spiritual father used to say something like this. He said, a lot of people like to distract themselves. They don't like solitude. They just like to distract themselves. Boredom, as it is now called, is actually an advantage God has given to us to be able to communicate with our spirit or with Him. But a lot of people, when they start getting bored, that's when they start looking for a movie to watch, probably go to a friend's house, probably go and play football or play games or do all of those kind of things. And I'm very careful when it comes to talking about spirituality with people, because you just don't know who you might offend. You understand? But like I said, just permit our bias, all right? Permit our bias for tonight. But I want you guys to really, really, really be comfortable with yourself. When you are bored, see it as an opportunity for you to communicate with God or with your spirit. You understand? Trust me, of this information that has been dropped tonight, probably maybe it's just 1% that will utilize it. But at the end of the day, no man will be without an excuse. Nothing starts up. You are not a master of something day one. It is as you continue to recreate the activity, it then becomes an habit. You understand? If you can continue a thing for 21 days, it then becomes an habit. I think that's what they used to say. But I'm trying to tell you that anything you are doing, all right, know that there's a spiritual dimension to it. May not be Christianity, may not be Bible wise. I like the fact that he went on into Buddhism, Zen, and all of those kinds of stuff. And like I said, I don't want to crowd you with so much. Of course, there's so much in my head I could have easily talked about, but just that very one thing, I just want to say that a lot of people don't know how to be comfortable with themselves. There's this interview I watched one time, and that interview I've watched it nothing less than, well, a couple of times. Let me just put it as a couple of times. TD Jakes, when he was launching this book with Steve Foxfield, what's the title of that particular book now? So he made a statement. He said, "I dated myself. I'm at home with myself. I'm comfortable with myself. I understand myself." I remember this saying that says, "In all thy knowing, know thyself." Of everything you are going to know yourself. You understand? Date yourself. Be at home with yourself. Stop feeling bored. Stop. This is how depression and suicidal thoughts get into people. Instead of the psalmist, we say that preserve me from presumptuous thoughts, from evil thoughts, right? Be at home with yourself. Not that when you're now bored, you now start thinking of suicide. No, that's not what you should do. The devil has already done overtime on you. That's why you're having that suicidal thoughts of village people, and it's not like that. This is a time whereby you should be thinking about so many thoughts that will edify your mind. So tonight, even if it is 10 minutes, just close your eyes. And some people, I know they don't know how to go about it. There was one time I played something. Let me see if I can quickly say that one that it can help you tonight. Tony Robinson, yes. Just go online, look for Tony Robinson. There's one particular one that he did on meditation. Let me look for one meditation exercise. I can't remember the title now, but yeah, this very one, priming exercise. This very one, Tony Robinson priming exercise. Yes, priming exercise. This very one. In fact, let me copy it and send the link out. Just try. I wish I had a lot of battery. In fact, not even I wish I had a lot of battery. Let's do this together right now. So everybody, let's just do this together. I'm pretty sure everybody can hear my. Let me see. Let me try and. I'm coming. Let me see how I can bring out my audio. The audio of my. Okay, yeah, share audio. Right. So let's do this. If my battery dies, no problem. But let's do this. My battery is on like 20%. But let's do this together right now. So everybody get set. 3, 2, 1, go.
Sorry, coach, we can't hear anything from what they're saying.
No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Hold on. Hi guys, can you guys hear? No audio. Okay.
I'm here, sir.
All right. I'm going to play it now. Can you hear now?
No, sir, we can't hear, sir.
No, sir.
All right. Since you guys can't hear, then we are not going to do it together. So I'm just going to copy the link and paste it in the group. Make sure that before you go to sleep, just try and practice it. Remember, happy are you when you do these things that you learn. Happy are you. All right. So not to cloud, not to really give you so much stories. Share the link with someone for tomorrow. My friend is set. But I had a dream about him this afternoon while I took a little nap, and I know tomorrow is going to be awesome. Share the link out, invite your friend. Well, let's do the talking tomorrow. All right. I feel we should just go to bed. All right. So, guys, thank you for joining. I'm grateful, and have a great night rest.